Well, good evening. The hooves today were on at Gosford. It was an Australian Turf Club meeting whilst Randwick is still being rebuilt, the grandstand, transferred to Gosford. The rail was good, the track was good, the rail was normal. There was a steady nor'easter blowing all day, which became strongest during the last race. It didn't have any effect on the runners today, but the track played a big. The way the track played did have an effect on the results. Up near the lead, on the fence or outside the lead was a great position to be in. And there was in the distance race, there was a runner that swept around them and got to the lead on the turn by the same token, and with his momentum up where the leaders collapsed. But anyway, going back to this first race, there was 107.6 on the screen. It's only about a little bit less than the marketplace, 104. You wouldn't see it on the flux, but the captains let you lay 2-1 on. We'll take you to about the first starter, Romantic Moon, trained by John O'Shea, ridden by James McDonald, and there were only 5 runners. It sat outside another first starter, Scrutiny, from the Snowden camp, ridden by McAvoy, and it's, as I say, it sat outside the leader. The other 3 behind, and they beat them by a long way, and it won. It started $1.45, which is now what we've seen. What happened was very good odds. The 2-on was good odds. It won by 3 lengths. It was 7 lengths away to the third horse. If you run the race again, of course, it would be a 9-2 chance, or even shorter. The second race, there was 102.9 on the screen, and only 100 in the marketplace. And going to the lead, this was a mile, this race, and going out of the lead, out of when they hit the first bend, was the second pick, Brannanikers. And it opened up $3.20, got out to $3.60, back into $3.40, back to $3.50, and it led. But when they were coming down the side, number 5, 1,000 Carat made a move and went up and tried to get in front of and cross the leader Brannikers, but Brannikers kept on kicking up on the inside of it. Early in the piece, the favourite Spurtonic, it was outside the lead, and McDonald didn't press on. I thought he was when he was maybe half a length clear after they got around the first bend, he would have gone on with it and found the bunny, but he didn't. He eased, and then, as I say, he was the other runner, 1,000 Carat, came around and actually went outside the lead and couldn't cross to the fence. And looking at the pair was Spurtonic, but it's very one-paced. And the fence, as I said, was an advantage. And when they got to the turn, it had kicked through on the inside again, Brannikers, and it was starting to drop off 1,000 Carat, which was left up to the favourite, hooking around its heels to go out after the leader, but he couldn't catch him. Was got beaten easily by 2 lengths. Very one-paced Spurtonic, and I think even McDonald most probably would agree he would have been better off pressing forward and finding the bunny. And if he did, he most probably would have got the cash. It opened up $1.70. He got out to evens on one board only for a little bit of section, but we let you lay 10-9 on for plenty. I did start $1.85, hard to get, and all the other runners except the second pick got well out in the market. And as I say, there was only 100 in the marketplace. Race 3, this was skinny. There was only 100.2 on the screen, 3 less in the marketplace, about 97. And sitting on the outside of the leader was the winner here, another Love Child. Leading on the fence was Aglush, and how it won their last start, where I did an absolute squillion on it, I don't know, but it did. But of course today it was unlayable. It went up a 5-1 chance, $6, not even that, about a 9-2 pop. I did start $10 on my board when they jumped. I cracked it for very little section. Kerry McAvoy, it led on the fence, as I say. he said that it could have held its breath, and it raced very keenly, but the vet couldn't find anything wrong with it. It dropped out and run third last, beaten 7 lengths. But as I say, sitting on the outside of the leader was the winner, Another Love Child, ridden by the Pumper Cassidy. And when they turned for home, he was able to stroll past Anglush and hold off the Waterhouse gay-trained Almighty Charge, who was resuming from a spell. It sat midfield, one off the fence, and only got beat a half a length. And coming from third last on the fence was Bond Temps, having every possible chance into third hole. The top one in this race, Straturbo, the top weight, ridden by Mrs. J. Duggan, 3 kilo girl, it got trapped 3 wide all the way. It finished up running fifth, only beaten 2.8 lengths, so its run was better than it looked. The fence was the place to be. What happened in that race betting-wise? Well, numbers 1 and 2, they nearly had identical fluctuations. $6 out to $7.50, back into $7. Anglush, as I said, was the next one, Another Love Child, was $4.40 out to $5 taken. But you might have even been able to get 5 when they jumped. Anglush, no price, $5.50 out to 10. The next runner was well backed and started favourite Calvin. It sat right behind the leaders from barrier 1, had every possible chance, missed a kick slightly. It went from $3.50 out to $3.80, back into $3.30. The next runner didn't have a price, Rapido Felino. It was $16 out to 21. Bond Temps was backed. It was $11 out to 14, back into 10. And on the deck, the roughie down the bottom, it was back from 40s into 30 at one stage, back out to 40 when they jumped. It was no good. We bet losing figures, and it was hard to win on the race bookmaking. Race 4, there was only 101 on the screen, and a few less in the marketplace, about 96. And this runner, this was a mile, and this runner sat in 5th position, getting a charmer. I'm talking about Baranski. It was extremely well backed, $7 into $5.50. Extremely well backed Baranski. Leading on the fence was Signoret, who held on fairly ordinary, having the bias in its favour. On its outside was no, it wasn't Electrician. It was running third last, so it must have been. No, look at 1, 2, 3, 4. It was Letchworth, of course. Letchworth sat outside the lead. And it was back to one stage, 17 out to 26, back into 21, back out to 26 to finish. Right behind the leader on the fence was Dolphy's Boy, who got held up. It couldn't sprint when the gap came, had every possible, even though it was held up. Outside it was Lucano. Now, Lucano didn't have a price. It was the opening favourite, and it went from $3 out to $4.60, and I couldn't cry. I forced the issue all the way. I couldn't crack it for any section at all. And looking at those 4 was the winner, Baranski, and it was a good 4 or 5 lengths away to the other 3 runners. And as I say, it had to drop on the leaders all the way, and eased off their heels turning for home, Baranski, and was far too strong and won by 2 lengths, coming from last, which it was Burnout, who was extremely well back, from $7 into $4.80. I was $5 when they jumped. It came from last. It hasn't any pace whatsoever, this horse. It'll do it to you all the time. It's a bad proposition unless you can find a race where they're fairly weak and there's a mile of pace. I think it's going to be the only time you should be on Burnout. And it, as I say, it came down the outside and got into second hole, beaten 2 lengths. The others all seemed to have their chance. The winner was the best run in the race. The figures were skinny. We only got to 96. The favourite, and there was another runner in this race which didn't have a price as well, and that was Electrician. It wasn't sparked up today. It went from $4 out to $9, 3s to 8s. Didn't have a price, Electrician, and ran accordingly. Race 5, there was 104.5 on the screen, but only 97 in the marketplace. You wouldn't see it, but number 1 here, Excellent Point. I was $4.60 for half an hour. I did get section out of it, and so there's some percentage you wouldn't see, which was on the screen. And these were the flux. Excellent Point went from $3.50 out to $4.60 back to $4.40. Carmine King, the favourite, which got held up turning for home onto the back of when it fell back, Music Academy, which might have very easily costed the race. It was $3.20 up to $3.60 back into $3.20. Norma's Betty Boy was very well backed, the winner. It sprung the lids and it crossed the field and went and found the bunny straight away, Norma's Betty Boy. And it only had the 54.5 half over the limit today, ridden by Sammy Clipperton. And it was always travelling in the place to be, up on the lead and on the fence. And it was $13 early into $8.50 hard, $8, so it was 12s into 15 to 2 at one stage. But it got back out to start $10 at the death, very well backed early. Mercon Man, there was a bit of specking for it from 15 out to 19, back into about 15. Danura, resuming from a spell today, didn't have a price. It went from $6.50 out to $13. Forster, it started second favourite. It was well back, went up $4, and it was steady at that price for a long time. Finished up starting about $3.80. And the next three runners were 25s out to 200 ex Capiche. They said they were going to ride a quieter today. I don't know why they did that, because up the front was to be the place to be, and it settled down in last position. They did what they said they were going to do. The next runner, that's Cricket, went from 50 to 200, and the bottom one, Music Academy, was 80 into 60, 50 out to 80, back into 60. I was 100 when they jumped, and there was only about 97. And as I say, when it found the bunny, Norma's Betty Boy, that was enough for it to, that was the place to be, and enough for it to hold on. Sliding through on the fence after being held up slightly was Forster, and also being held up slightly, Carmine King, having to hook around heels when they turned for home. The margins were 0.4 by 0.5. The third horse probably should have won the race. Not clearly, but with a little bit of luck, most probably would have got home. Race 6, there was only 97.2 on the screen, and less in the marketplace, 94 in the marketplace. And the opening favourite here, Power Broker, it didn't have a name. It went from $2.80, 7 to 4 the field we put up, $2.80 Power Broker. I was $4.80 when they jumped, and I struck it for some section, but not as much as I would have liked to have got out of it. And after copying a little bit of a check at the start and hanging out slightly, or hanging in towards the end of the race, it sat outside the leader, Hello Gorgeous, and it was, when the pressure was applied at the 800 metre mark, it was gone, as the price suggested. Diamond Jim, it was. This is how we got to 94. As I said, it was $2.80 out to $4.80 Power Broker. Diamond Jim was $5 out to $6.50. Lehigh was $6 out to $9. Old Bill, the first runner they backed, was $7 into $5.50, and only started, got back out to $6, but back into $5. J Per Princess was $7.50 into $6.50. Savage Blaze, the winner. Now, they didn't miss this, and it should have finished well. Last start at Newcastle, of course, it was trapped wide for a long way in the early section of the race, which wasn't a place to be that day at Newcastle. And its run was a bit better than it looked. It sat midfield, and when the leaders caved in at the 800 metre mark, well, it was even the 600. Tommy Berry, terrific Tommy Berry, he took off on this, and he came so quick, he hit the lead well before the turn of 5 and 6 off the fence, and the race was all over. And they didn't forget to back it. It was $15 out to $19. They took $13 off you at the finish. It was started 11 to 1, $12, extremely well backed, found by the pros, of course. Now, Filament, it was 17 out to 26. Southern Copy was 21 out to 26. The next runner, Hello Gorgeous, was 26 into 21, even a bit less, about $18, $17. They took $18 off me at one stage, and the bottom one, rolling on the river, was 80 out to 100. No good at all, a lot less than 100, and the winner very well backed, with the favourite not having a name, Power Broker, which made it even worse. Now, we came to the last, and there was 108.3 on the screen and only 102 in the marketplace, and this was won by the Avery. I'm talking about style. Leading on the, I'll give you the flux very quickly. You mightn't have seen these. Melberg went from 17 out to 26. Where's Red Feathers went from 17 out to 21, back into about 19. Style, the winner, $3.50 out to $4, back into $3.50. Urania Crown was $8 or $9, out to 11, back into 9, back out to 10. G Me Up, it was $11 out to 16 on my board. Oceans, the opening equal favourite, didn't have a price. It went from $3.50, 5 to 2 the field, 5 to 2 a pair with layer, 5 to 2 Oceans, started 9 to 2, $3.50 out to $5.50. It got trapped 3 wide outside the leaders. That was not the place to be. Now the next runner, Caprosa, it didn't have a price, but I'll tell you what, it was most probably the runner that everybody will see when they do the tapes, Caprosa. It didn't show the speed that it showed at Canterbury last start or the start before that. It was eased at the start, Caprosa, by Tommy Terrific, and went back to third or second last position. And when they turned for home, he was held up fairly badly, and he ran on into fifth hole, beaten. I haven't put the margins down to the last yet, but he was beaten about 3 lengths or under. It was friendless in the betting, Caprosa. It went from $6, a 5 to 1 chance, out to $8.50, begging it to finish. Didn't have a price. Oristana was back from $9 out to 11, back into 9. Could have started $10. I was about $9 when they jumped. And the bottom one, Oxford Heart, it was extremely well back from $7 out to $7.50, 7 out to $7.50, back into $6 when they jumped. And this race was run this way. It led on the fence, G Me Up from barrier 1. On its outside, the winner Style. Trapped 3 wide outside the pair was the Blowing Oceans. And then we had another line of 3 on the fence. On the fence, we had Oxford Heart. In the middle, on its outside was Melberg, and trapped 3 wide outside those was Oristana. And then we had on the fence, running third last, Urania Crown. On its outside, the unlucky Caprosa, and the second place getter, Where's Red Feathers, it was running last. It went through on the fence with an uninterrupted run and made up a lot of ground on the winner Style, but Style bolted in. There was plenty of pace on up in front. The winner sat outside the lead, held on very well, and they knew what they were doing. They took the $4, started $3.50, very well, $3.50 on my board. I don't think it was that price on the fence. Might have only been about $3.30, and it was a very bad result for the captains. That was the meeting. As I said, it was up. The place to be was up near the lead. Now, I don't know whether I'll be able to fit all these in, because we're back up to Wyong. We're home now. We're back up to Wyong tomorrow for their Magic Millions meeting. Then, of course, we've got Canterbury Park on Friday night, and we've got the farm, Warwick Farm, on Saturday. So I'll see if I can say something tomorrow evening. Good evening.